Well, hello there.
Yeah. It seems like it's been a while since I've seen you.
It's been a while, man. It's been a second. So, back on the podcast. New topics. New setting. We're still recording the old way, but we got some stuff fired up coming.
Yep.
But what have you been up to, Sarah? What have you been doing?
2020 has been a heck of a year. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've been sleeping for the past, I don't know, when was the last time we recorded? Like 8 months ago?
It must have been. I mean, so the last time we recorded, I was still on the East Coast. I've since moved. You were still closer to the East Coast. You yourself have since moved.
Yep.
I had a kid. He is now...
I've had 80 kids. It's fine.
He's now almost a year old. I mean, it's been kind of a thing. I think that what we've gone through has been kind of just a microcosm of what everyone has gone through in the past
I think so
year.
too. But we're back now.
We're back.
Like, we're back trying to set up some consistency. I know that, my life has calmed down significantly. So I'm excited to be back on the podcast tour.
Yeah. I mean, and it's nice because we've got like a nice kind of flow of different things that we can talk about because things have happened in the past year, which is neat. And I don't know about you, but I've been playing games. I've been paying attention to what's going on in the community. What have you been playing? What have you been focusing on?
I don't know, just getting back to streaming in the past month, which I was welcomed back with arms wide open, which was insane to me. Focusing on Super Mario Odyssey, but also just enjoying my streams again. That was kind of the big thing, is going back to basics and stopping. Like, I was forcing myself to play games that I wasn't necessarily happy with because I thought that that's what people wanted. But I'm finding that people are enjoying me just being a moron. Like
being the dadliest man on Twitch, right? It's the kind of that's your title. That's what you gotta kind of hold on to.
Right. So I mean, it's been nice. It's been nice to get back into a groove with a set schedule. As a matter of fact, with my new job, I'm working at home, and I just sit in Discord all day with friends, and they just watch me play Zelda while I'm at work.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been up to?
So, again, big move. A lot of transitions, a lot of change here and there, but I've really just kind of I've walked away from the speedrunning a lot because it was just, I kind of found where I wanted to be with all of my runs. I've got my 16 star under 20 minutes. Pretty happy with that. I've played some random speedruns here and there, grabbed a couple random world records that no one plays the game in, right? Super Flight was one of them.
Whatever,
right?
World record.
But really, I've been just kind of falling back in love with just playing video games. So I've got the PS2, hadn't played that in a while. I've been playing Medal of Honor, Frontline, been playing Kingdom Hearts. Started playing Banjo-Kazooie, which I haven't played in forever. So, I mean, it's just falling back in love with just playing video games. I don't get me wrong, I love speedrunning. I love that community, but really what draws me into the community of video games is the art and the storytelling and really the mechanics of just video games itself. So...
And for me, like, I'd agree with that. I enjoy speedrunning because, I recently posted on Twitter that, speedrunning is like a drug, because it is. Like, you're chasing this high of getting that personal best. So I will have to admit that I was conned over the last couple of days. I'm going to do a shout out to Jay Mill, who has been learning Celeste. I went ahead. Celeste was like $4 on Steam. I bought it, and I've been playing through it casually. And, of course, when you're a speedrunner and you're playing something casually, you're really like attempting speedrun strats that you have no business even attempting. But I really enjoyed playing the game itself, and that may be something on the docket for me here soon.
Well, and I picked up Celeste on Epic Games when it was free, and same thing. Just playing through it, and you mess around a little bit here and there, but that's a game that you can just play casually, and it's just a good game casually.
It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard in some spots.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. It's got this challenging aspect to it, but it's a quick learn. Like, you can pick up these kind of strategies pretty quickly as long as you kind of do it repetitively, but it's still got that challenge to it in each level, and it gives you different mechanics that it builds upon. And that's what you look for in a video game, really, is the game give you mechanics and just be like, okay, now let's challenge you with it. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing, I guess because I don't want to say getting old or whatever. I did just recently have a birthday. I turned 21, so I can drink now, so it's fine.
Big boy. Big boy.
So that's a joke, by the way. But for me, puzzle games or games where you have to sit and figure something out has been super enjoyable. I don't know why. It's just something different, I guess.
Right.
I spent my 20s playing Call of Duty, online and competitively, and I even had a YouTube channel back in like 2011 where I posted my videos for my little hop hog. But now I don't know, maybe I'm old. I go get my cup of coffee. I sit and I just like to grind shrines and Breath of the Wild.
It's like our version of the crossword puzzle. It's like Saturday morning, wake up, grab my cup of coffee, and back in the 70s, 80s, it was get the crossword puzzle, watch the morning news. For us, it's, man, you know what? I really don't want to just go around blowing people with with my AK or whatever. I want to just sit down, and I just want to have a chill time playing inside. That's it. Playing whatever puzzle game is there. It's just something relaxing and chill that you can just chill with. So
yeah. Well, it's good to be back. That's what I want to kind of cap that off with. It's good to be back. Here on YouTube. We're looking to expand to some other areas with this podcast, and we're happy to have you listening to us again. That's the thing is we saw a lot of really good growth with our podcast when we started off, and so we're happy to be able to provide that content again. But I digress.
Right.
So first thing I kind of want to talk about is, we've been gone for 8 months. There's a lot of things that have changed, within the speedrunning community and within the Twitch community itself. And we'll go over a couple of those today. But I want to talk a couple of my buddies of mine that started streaming about the same time I did that are now partners on Twitch. And it's really interesting because, when you're streaming on Twitch, when you get all excited and you're like, man, I'm going to stream. I'm going to become the newest, soda poppin' or whoever. And, you try to look for that golden ticket idea, I guess, to separate you out from the millions of other people that are on Twitch. I don't know. I've really sat down and kind of analyzed this. Shout outs to Philly, who was a Super Mario Odyssey streamer, became a Fall Guys streamer. Dangers, who became a partner as an SMO streamer, but is now a Fall Guys streamer. Sean Raider, who just was grinding like absolute crazy madman grinding. And Triforce TK, who like put his head down and, was playing Star Road like crazy, getting those world records, but all very different paths. Okay.
Yeah, I remember when Sean Raider was on, only had 20 viewers.
Right,
stream.
exactly.
So it's impressive to see that kind of growth, that kind of development, and you're right. It's a lot of dedication with that sort of thing, and how did they get there? How do you do that?
And it's really hard because I don't think there's a magical formula. If I had to give any advice to people that were just starting streaming, first off, know that you're going to stream for the first 3 months to 0 people, right? Especially if you don't network in other streams. But secondly, find something that you're going to enjoy doing. Why? Because you're going to do that thing until you hit partner. You're going to do that thing until you hit partner. All right. So find that game. Like for Philly, it was Fall Guys. Like he streamed Super Mario Odyssey for almost a year and a half, 2 years. Switched to Fall Guys, ended up winning the Twitch Rivals tournament, and just blew up from there. Sean Raider, I remember racing Sean Raider when we both had like 25s and 16 star. you know?
Right.
Now this man is just grinding down 120 star, which is ridiculous. I did a 120 the other day, by the way. It was terrible. But, you know, same thing with Triforce TK. Triforce TK has been like that MU kind of mod god, you know, like doing all these ROM hacks and just is phenomenal at what he does. But, you know, he's kind of had to change and do what gets those views. So like Chaos Edition, which I know was just like a punch to the face. You know what I mean? Like Chaos Edition, I don't know if you've seen those speedruns, but they're absolutely ridiculous and frame perfect and like so hard and so frustrating, but he did it. So I mean, it's really, really nice to see. That's kind of my bottom line here. It's nice to see growth within people in my network in achieving that success. But again, I don't know what the magic formula is.
Well, I think that the big thing to notice here is, you know, the time that we're living in, right? We're living in a time where being online is really the only thing you can do. I mean, even like where I work right now, the only way that you can really do work is being online and being separated from everyone, right? And I mean, companies are doing this worldwide, and I mean, we're even on a second wave of shutdowns, really. That's what we're looking at. So when this first started happening, I mean, I remember talking to you about this. I'm like, now is the opportunity. Like, now is the time to really seize that moment, because what's everyone doing? Everyone's sitting at home doing nothing. Everyone's doing that. So it's, and I mean, the kids are at home. I mean, school's shut down and everything. So it's like, what are they going to be watching? Well, you know, you're going to have this wave of people discover Twitch, and what do you know? That's exactly what happened. And the smaller streamers have seized that opportunity, and that's why, I mean, I've seen my Twitter feed. It's been every single day a new person got partner, a new person got partner, another person got partner, and it's because they're seizing that opportunity. Now, I've seen a lot of Twitch streamers and companies, if you will, on Twitch that haven't seized that opportunity, and they've seen that decline. And I mean, like I said this back at the beginning of this whole thing, back in January, February, March. You know, now you got to do it now. You have to come up with something, like anything. You got to do something right now, otherwise you're gonna miss this huge opportunity. And Sean Rader is one of those people. I want to highlight him in particular. That just he grinded the crap out of it, and he seized the opportunity that he had in the past year to do that. And now you see where he is, and he's in a really good spot where he is getting 200, 300 viewers per stream.
It's awesome. It's really, really cool, you know, seeing those communities develop. Like you said, you know, people are at home. I know I spend a lot more time on Twitch than I used to. So, you know, it's really cool to see that, and I'm excited to see what's coming out of these smaller communities, because let's face it, you know, people watch Shroud, who has since come back to Twitch. People watch Ninja. As a matter of fact, I think Pope Squidward got a raid from Ninja like a month ago. It was crazy, with like 42,000 viewers or something.
Jeez.
But here's the thing: is a lot of people, you know, I don't really want to say my age, but yeah, like when I go into a stream, I don't want to just see like the chat just scrolling by. Like, I want that interaction. So I think you're right that those small and mid-tier streamers, that's why they're achieving that success. You know, there are people that are still going to go to Shroud stream, right? But they're not really going to interact with Shroud. You know, Shroud will get a $25 donation, and it's just kind of brushed to the side. It's not, hey, thanks for that $25. No, it's, you know, it makes a sound and it goes away.
Yeah.
Because he's playing his game. So, you know, I think you're right. And you know, I'm excited to see what the future holds for our small communities.
Well, and you mentioned what's the golden ticket, right? Like, what is it that makes these smaller streamers big, right? And I don't think that there is one specific thing. But if you were to narrow it down to at least a couple things, right? The first thing is that interaction. Because we don't have that interaction anymore in our day-to-day lives. I mean, you can't get within 6 feet of people anymore. You can't meet at a restaurant. You can't meet anywhere. I mean, I live in Florida, so we're a little bit more lax as far as that goes. I mean, you have people walking around Publix without masks on and no one's saying anything, which you can debate that all day long, but
of course
we won't go into that. But out in New York, they've just shut down all the restaurants again. So it's like you don't have that interaction. So the smaller streamers who are able to make that interaction because they only have 20 or 30 people in their stream. Like you in particular, you're really good at that sort of thing because, you know, you pay attention to what's going on in your chat and you actually interact with your chat, but you have the ability to do that because you don't have 40,000 people in your chat just typing, you know, rapidly. I think the other thing is you have people who are consistently doing it. Again, they have the time. So they're on stream for 8 hours and that's their job. So they're able to develop it in that way. And then they're dedicating to a specific game. So like you said, Fall Guys, right? Fall Guys is what made this person big. You know, Super Mario 64 is what made Sean Raider big. It's because they're dedicating to that thing and they're sticking to it so people can have an expectation of what's to come. That way, when they do become partner or they get a larger viewership, it's not so jarring for them to change to a different thing, or they slowly but surely start working towards other stuff because it's kind of an expectation at that point. You know, I've gotten bigger. There's more stuff going on, so I can change over to maybe I start playing GTA because I'm bored with the platformer thing, or maybe I change to Fall Guys, which is that battle royale kind of style party game. Or whatever the next big thing is, whatever the thing is in that moment, right? So
I think I'm too ADD for that.
Yeah,
like anybody who's been to my stream, I spend I'll do a 6-hour stream of saying, hey, so what should I play? Because and I want other people to make those decisions for me,
right?
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm excited to see what's what's going to be coming with Twitch. There's a lot of changes with Twitch, and what I think is really cool is seeing a lot of these big name SM64 runners doing exactly what you're talking about and moving to Minecraft of all places.
I love this. This is my favorite.
It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. No, I've been paying attention. Like Dowski in particular, I've been paying attention to him because he's really been grinding it hard lately. I mean, he'll do it for hours on end. And I mean, he became kind of more well known for his 16-0 and 1-star speedrun. I mean, he had world records, right? So him moving over to Minecraft is kind of like it's really interesting. And Simply's doing that as well. I mean, you have so many of these streamers who are moving over to Minecraft, and what I think is interesting is we're talking. It's Minecraft. It's not any other game. It's Minecraft that's becoming the big speed run.
Right.
And when we talk about Minecraft, we're talking about the most popular game of all time, and we're talking about a game that has been in development for the past 15 years. 10 years, something like that.
It's been a really long time. Because I even remember having a Minecraft server like 2010, 2009. Yeah, something like that.
I made a Minecraft server for me and my little brother when I went off to college in 2010, and we used to play that. I mean, and Minecraft had been going on long before that. So at minimum 10 years it's been going on, right?
Right.
And I think the cool thing about Minecraft speedruns is that, you have Super Mario 64, which has, 0, 1, 16 star, 70 star, and 120 star, right? Right. Minecraft has different versions of speedruns. Right. You can
which is really cool.
Oh, you can play 16.1, you can play 16.2, 16.3. You can go all the way back and play vanilla 1.1. I mean, it's just there's a huge variety. Every single version has a strat. It's all different. So you might flip over to one person's stream who's streaming Minecraft and see one strat because they're playing 16.1, and flip over to another stream and they're playing on an older version, and it's a completely different speed run. So it's this beautiful variety, and you know, we talked about art in video games like a couple of podcasts ago. This is art. This is what we when we talk about art in speedrunning, is this kind of beautiful development and this beautiful menagerie of different speed runs that come out of this one game, all because of how it's developed and how it's been created and how it's been presented to the community.
Exactly. And it's really cool, like, you know, sitting and watching it. I mean, of course, I just like to blow stuff up. You know, my daughter had to learn the hard way that Dad likes to use TNT.
Okay.
So she learned that valuable lesson last week. But you know, I've here recently been exploring and, you know, trying to figure out how to get back into Minecraft. Not even necessarily speedrunning. I would love to be able to try it, but just getting back into the game and seeing all the changes. I love the fact that it's one of the most ran games right now on speedrun.com. I think that's really, really cool, because SM64 sat at the top of that list for so long. Right now, if you look at the most active as of today, Minecraft Java Edition is the most active with 834 players. Behind that's going to be Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies. And then behind that's Minecraft Classic. And then behind that is Super Mario 64. So it doesn't have the most runs. Obviously, that's going to be SM64 and SMO, which have sat at the top of that list for forever. But it is in the top 10 for the most runs. And you know, how simply kind of approaches it of bringing people into... I don't know if you paid attention to that, but he's bringing people into speedrunning, right? By saying, hey, all right, you're going to learn this game, and you're going to be a noob at this game, but we're going to race between two noobs. Because I think we talked about that golden ticket. I think Simply found the golden ticket. You know, yeah, it's really great to be able to watch two phenomenal speedrunners, like two world record level speedrunners, go at it. But then you're just looking for like these little tiny minute details that normal people aren't going to see. Now you put two like newer players racing against each other, the spaghetti is everywhere.
Right.
You know, I'm going to reference this, and I know that you know, Sarah Mew, the leader of CCG, is going to call me out for this, but I'm okay with that. So there's a YouTube video on Simply's channel, you know, and I could tweet it out if people want to see it. It's my race between me and Necrovita in the freshman 16 about 4 or 5 months ago. And it was such an interesting race. My MU crashed. He saved and quit. I saved and quit. It was just so hilariously interesting. That's the races. That's what people want to see.
Well, and
you know,
I think here's the thing that when I saw Minecraft kind of skyrocket again to the top of the most run speedruns on speedrun.com, the thing that I thought of, okay, there's a shift. There's a cultural shift going on within speedrunning, and it's exactly what you're talking about here. You know, for such a long time, I mean, back to 2010, right?
Right.
It's been who's the best. I gotta watch the who's perfecting the game, you know, that sort of thing. And it's become to this thing where now it's no longer about that. It's just about the sake of the game. And I think that that's a really nice thing. And Minecraft kind of encapsulates that, because Minecraft has such a broad audience. I mean, it's not just for the people who play casually. It's not just for the 10-year-old or the 5-year-old or whatever who just wants to go and mine diamonds all day long. I mean, it's also for the person who wants to make the most beautiful house possible. It's also for the person who wants to make architectural, like real-life architectural, you know, things, buildings, whatever, in the game. You know, I've seen people make cathedrals in the game, but now it's shifting over to speedrunning, and Minecraft, again, it has such a broad audience, so it's bringing everyone in, and that shift you're seeing throughout the entirety of Twitch. You're seeing that throughout the entirety of the speedrunning community, because it's no longer about it's about bettering yourself, sure, and being the best, quote unquote, but really it's more about enjoying the game, which is kind of the root of what video games really is. It's just I enjoy this game. So it's really nice to see.
It is really cool. I really like that, and the fact that even my kids are now looking at speedruns when they've grown up watching me speedrun games,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, "Oh, Dad's just watching speedruns, whatever, who cares?"
Mm-hmm.
But now they're like, "Oh man, this is cool. Hey, Dad, did you see this?" Which
Yeah.
is really nice. It's really cool.
Well,
So
and on the topic of like being better, right? You know, everyone wants to be genuine and be better, right? And that's what we're kind of empowering each other to do. Unfortunately, we still have people who don't want to be genuine.
yeah,
Right, and fortunately, that's kind of been weeded out slowly but surely by YouTubers who have kind of like exposed that sort of thing. But we still have these people who don't want to be genuine, who kind of want to just like insert themselves or make themselves famous for whatever reason and at the easiest way possible.
right. Doing it for the views, not
Mm-hmm,
to actually do it. And so, talking about cheating and speedrunning.
mm-hmm,
So, we've got the likes of like Apollo Legend, who spent a long, long time uh, trying to expose cheating within speedrunning, and made a following, uh, pretty much exposing these things. Um, been multiple disappearances over however many years of exposing these cheaters. But what's interesting, and I want to bring it up because it just came up like last night. I think the video was posted yesterday. Um, a brand new YouTube page has popped up in the last 24 hours, and it's by Charlie Brown, which is someone I'm not necessarily familiar with.
mm-hmm.
Uh, again on YouTube they have their one video which is titled "Obvious Cheater Fakes Blindfolded Super Mario 64 Run." Now, in this video, which is it's like a 24-minute video, it's super informative and goes over this individual who the content creator refuses to name, which I can respect. You're exposing the cheater. You're not really here to have people come and harass this guy. Hopefully this video kind of shows him, hey, don't, we know what you're up to.
Mm-hmm.
um, but goes through on why this is a faked blindfolded speed run and use it. And we talked about it before the recording the podcast today, and I think you explained it really well, that it's very unapologetic. It's just got the facts there. It lays it out very nicely to say, hey, this guy's full of crap.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the big thing, and having entered the speedrunning community later than most of the people that I'm surrounded by, one of the things I noticed when I entered is when we were an expose of a speedrunner who cheated. It was more like bash the speedrunner, like invade him, bully him, that sort of thing. Because it was all done on Twitter. Or if you did a YouTube video, it wasn't okay. I'm just gonna show you this, and we're just gonna show you the facts. I'm just gonna show you this is the video clip. I'm not gonna bully this guy at all. I'm just gonna say
let you make the decision.
Exactly, and that's what this guy Charlie Brown did very, very, very well. It's again unapologetic. It's not out to harass. It's not out to bully. It's just here it is, and it's part of the kind of cultural shift that you see within the speedrunning community. Of, it's not about being perfect necessarily. It's just being genuine. That's all it is.
Right.
And it's really nice to see that, we can point it out without like harassing the crap out of the person, right? You can be like, hey, you can't. That's not like, it's very clear you can't do that. Like when you watch the video, the first thing, like within a minute of watching the video, he does the cage triple jump for Owlus, like as if like he's me doing it without a blindfold on.
Exactly.
I'm like,
without a blindfold on.
There's no
or Bowser throws
yeah.
If you ever watch blindfolded speedruns, okay, they don't do regular strats. They don't do like normalized strats. And they're typically very quiet because they're listening to those particular sound cues. And there's a setup. There's always a setup so that you can kind of figure out where you are. All right. Um, there's no way that you're going to get Bowser throws. And he explains in the video that he's got to focus on what direction his thumb is, because that's the direction that Bowser will go. No, if you've ever played Super Mario 64, that's not how it works.
Right.
At all. So, you know, he provided this information, but also consulted with um, Bubzia, Nobori, Katoon, which all three of those folks have been doing blind run SM64 speedruns for a long time. And to me, I think the reason why anytime we kind of expose a cheater in speedrunning, why it comes out to be like bullying or going after that individual, is because it pisses people off. Because you've got these guys like Bubzia who spent years learning, understanding, coming up with these strats, coming up with the setups, all for someone to just try to come in and take that away by cheating, to try to pass it off as a legitimate run. And I think that's where the outrage comes from. But sometimes we have to take a step back and say, okay, well, why? Why is the person doing this? And Charlie Brown in this video does a really good job at making you ask that question, like, why? Well, it couldn't be for the money because the text to speech that was activated was only 1 bit for text to speech, so it could be for the money. So I don't know. I think we should put the link in the description of this video so that people can go watch. But cheating in speedrunning is not new. Apollo Legend has been trying to expose the individual who I'm not going to name because he likes to send out all of these legal cease and desists. But I'll give you a hint. Played Donkey Kong for a long time.
Yeah.
Apollo Legend's been doing this for a really long time, and we've seen this in almost every community. In the GTA community, we've seen it in the Zelda community. This is not a new thing, but I think that Charlie Brown's approach to this was so professional, and I'm super excited to see what he's going to come out with next, because it was just done so well.
Right. Well, and I think that the big thing to highlight there is exactly what you were saying as far as the outrage goes, right? Because I think one of the things that we oftentimes forget, and it's why I keep coming back to talking about video games and just enjoying video games for the sake of video games. This is like, it's what we fall back on, right? I mean, everyone has their own communities, in whatever way, shape, or form. I enjoy this, and I have a community of people who enjoy that as well, and we kind of that's what we huddle around. For us, it's video games. So for us, video games are sacred, and when you mess with that and you when you kind of twist that and make that not what it's supposed to be, and make that something sacred, and you foul with it, it really bothers. It should bother us. But there's a mature way of handling that, and there's a way of just pointing it out and saying, hey, we know what you're doing. You can't do that because this thing is sacred. In speedrunning and being genuine, that's a sacred thing. So,
and that's the thing for me is, calling out and saying, oh, you're a bad human, you're terrible, you should be banned from every board forever for your entire life, and blah blah blah, we should question everything. No, and maybe it's because of now my age and family and all of that, I want to say, hey dude, yeah, this isn't right, this is not cool that you did this, but why did you do it?
Right.
Why did you do it? And let me show you the right way. Right? Because that's the thing. In my mind, there's the right way, and then there's the easy way. With that run in that video that we're referencing, he would have he said he had gotten a 33-minute blindfolded time, which would be second place on the leaderboard, which you're not going to get after 2 or 3 runs.
Right.
Impossible. So, but what I thought was interesting is I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but towards the end of the video, one of the viewers, the skeptic in the crowd, said, "Look, I'll give you $50 if you turn around right now, put a blanket on your head, and do those Bowser throws as well as you just did it."
Mm-hmm.
And he like kind of fumbled a little bit and said,
No. Yeah.
So that right there gives you away.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're caught. So I don't know. I would love to know what's going on in this guy's head.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. No, but again, it's just kind of like that whole aspect of like wanting to be genuine and that sort of thing. And I think it's been cool to. You mentioned this before, smaller speedrunners or less consistent speedrunners being in tournaments, right? I think it's been really cool to see just like a lot of tournaments popping up highlighting that. And
there are a lot.
There's so many that are happening. And again, it's probably because of this whole COVID thing and everything being online. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we got to have some sort of fun with this.
I'm in 2 right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a Super Mario Odyssey tournament, which will start at the end of the month, which is kind of more of a freshman tournament. Mm-hmm. Then you've got Super Mario 64 Sapphire, which is looking to start in January, February timeframe.
Which that's so cool because it's a ROM hack.
Right.
Like we had I think, oh my gosh, what was it at the beginning when we first started the podcast? You had the all coins speedrun of the all signs tournament, right? And now we're getting into really ROM hacks.
Well, and then you've got the big one that's going on right now, the one that has really brought people back to running Super Mario 64 is Blue Haven Gaming, which is kind of a name that I had heard through the grapevine, but Blue Haven Gaming started up and said, "You know what? I want to do a tournament, and I'm gonna throw in $1,000, right? I'm gonna throw in $1,000, and whoever wins is gonna get it." Now, let me just list some of the names here. Tago is in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Wilco's in this tournament. Zine, Benji. Schnoz, I don't know if you've watched Schnoz, but Schnoz has only been running 70 stars since like April. But Schnoz currently has a 49.54, probably one of like a prodigy. Anyway, Max Murphy, Ouija, Sean Rader, we talked about before. But the big one, Heisenberger as well, who's a 120 runner. The big one, Punkation,
who has been like in hiding forever.
Yeah. So Punke coming out, he's actually I believe the 3rd seed in this tournament. So it's bringing a lot of these people back into speedruns, and I think that's why tournaments are important. CCG, which is the Cool Cat Gang, has been hosting a myriad of tournaments, from Legend of Zelda to Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 64. You just see all these tournaments popping up, and I freaking love it. Club 100, which is run by BDEF 100. I think they're in the 3rd season of their 70 star. I love it because that's what's keeping people involved. Like I said, I'm so ADD, I don't even know what I'm going to run. So I'll start a speed run. I'm like, God, I don't want to do this. But this is really what's keeping people doing the game.
Right.
And it's so cool to see. It's really, really cool to see. Especially all of these older names. So yeah, tournaments and speed running. I don't know. We can post the links to some of these if you'd like, but I think it's a good thing for the community.
No, I 100% agree with you. And you've had GDQ, right, for such a long time, be kind of the forefront of popularizing speedrunning or showing off speedrunning on a large scale, right? And it's all based on fundraisers, though. So for a long time, you had this connotation with speedrunning in tournaments where, you shouldn't be speedrunning for money. Like, it's not a thing. You shouldn't be doing that. And that might be kind of the older crowd saying that. But I think that this is a cool thing because not only is it pulling the people who have kind of walked away from speedrunning a little bit, who are like getting kind of bored of it, or who are getting a little bit tired of running SM64 or Zelda or whatever over and over again, because you get burnt out eventually. it's pulling them back in and giving them a different motivation other than just I need to have the best time. It's I'm competing against someone. So and I think a lot of people don't realize there's a different mentality with speedrunning and doing it by yourself versus doing it in a race. So it's really cool to see the kind of dichotomy between someone who you're typically seeing just run over and over and over again every single day, and then having them put into a race situation where they're watching someone else that they're racing against and having to figure out on the fly, if I make a mistake here, what do I do next?
But, even for me, just so you know, on the commentary side, I was really big into global or GSA, Global Speedrun Association, for the longest, assisting with speedrun.com. And I still do commentary, but it's kind of brought me back into commentating again. I recently, a few months ago, commentated a match with Simply, and so I'm getting all these invitations again. Hey, we got this grand finals coming up. We'd really like you to commentate. And I like that, that people remembered my commentary skills, for one, but that people want me to be a part of their event. It's really cool. It shows growth within the community. I'm really excited about it.
Well, and then the other part of it is inviting people into these tournaments that wouldn't typically be invited, right? So we talk about GSA. GSA, you have to qualify to be able to get in, right? And so when you qualify, we're talking about the best speedrunners in those categories. And we talk about Super Mario 64 all the time because that's what you and I know very, very well. But within that community in particular, it's always going to be Cheese. It's always going to be Ouija, Punkay, those guys, right? Liam, if he plays.
I don't know where he went. He flew to Mars or something.
After he got the world record, I think his data finally crapped out and he just went into the void. But now you're getting, you, for instance, right? You're in this tournament. You're not on top of the leaderboards, but we're getting to see you do this. We're getting to see Sean Rader, who wouldn't typically be up there. You're getting to see the small and all these other smaller guys who are being shown off in this light because we're promoting this in this way, and it's fun, and it's making it fun again. Because again, for a long time it was who's perfect, who's the best. Now it's not about that anymore. It's just let's just have fun, because that's what video games are supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun, and it's fun to watch this. It's fun to mess up. It's fun to watch someone mess up and get frustrated a little bit. And it's cool because I'm starting to see speedrunners take more light in that rather than get beat themselves up for messing up. They're having more fun with it again, which is all because of the tournaments, and it's all because of the interaction with the people watching and that sort of thing. So, like I said, it's only positive. It's only positive.
I made a fool of myself racing Niagara Vita.
Yeah.
And I joke around about it, but it was a lot of fun to do it. And I like that. I mean, in that tournament, I don't know if you even watched that, but in that tournament, Clint Stevens was in there. Mizkif, who is not even a speedrunner, right? Was in there. Mizkif. So Mizkif, who, let's look it up right now. Mizkif currently has, 250,000 subscribers, on YouTube and on one channel. Another channel, another 127,000 subscribers. So, people who aren't even in the community are being brought into the community, which was really awesome. I really like that. Well, and then it kind of gives you a more widespread, number one, gives you a widespread audience, but then number two, you get kind of like a different feel and a different taste for everything, because again, you're right, Mizkif isn't known for his speedrunning, but he's being brought over. And he's got skill. He does have video game skill. I mean, that's just if you naturally have video game skill, you can pick up speedrunning pretty quickly. So it's cool to see those kind of people who are more well known for something else be paired up with someone who speedruns that particular thing all day, every day. But again, that's kind of like an encapsulation of what the gaming community really is. It's not. I have to be perfect. It's just enjoying the dang game. So exactly, just play it. Just play the game.
So it's been really cool, and I like that it's normalized funded tournaments or tournaments where you can win money, because I think that's the direction we're headed in, and I think that that needs to be more normalized. Unfortunately, people have become more accepting of it, and you have a lot less of the fighting about that. I remember what was a year ago, there were paste bins flying around all over Twitter, defending or against funded tournaments. And there were people being like, no, it's the worst thing in the world. And I'm kind of in the middle on that. Like, I don't necessarily think it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a positive thing, though. And I think it's moving in the right direction. And it's the way you handle it. And I think that we're handling it correctly. I think that's the appropriate way of saying that.
Right, and that's fair.
So,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna kind of start changing gears a little bit.
Yep.
So we've agreed on pretty much everything so far on the podcast today.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of rolling into something that's not as fun. Now, this is a topic that you selected.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna let you start it out.
So I sticking to the tournament kind of thing. We've been talking about self-funded tournaments. We've been talking about smaller scale kind of things, because this is what all of these things are. You know, GSA is kind of like the bigger part of that, but they've kind of scaled that back in a big way.
They really have, yeah.
Yeah, and they recently had that fundraiser stream, which they did pretty good job at.
Which is phenomenal, yes.
Yeah, it was a really cool showcase of a bunch of different speed runs. I was on there. My speed run totally flopped, but we had fun with it.
You were fine.
You were fine. But on the larger scale, you know, speedrunning isn't, when it comes to video game tournaments, speedrunning in general is very small scale in comparison to fighting tournaments, like fighting game tournaments, in particular Melee. And if you were on Twitter about 2-3 weeks ago and you were in the gaming community, you might have seen a hashtag going around saying free Melee.
Right.
And I think when everyone thinks of Nintendo, everyone thinks of great video games. They are very, very good at making good video games. You talk about Mario. Mario, the whole Mario series is probably the greatest series of games of all time, right? Minecraft is the greatest game as far as, you know, how widely spread it is and how diverse it is. But Mario is the most well-known. Everyone knows Mario. Everyone. The problem that I believe that Nintendo has is on their marketing side. And this whole free Melee thing came about because of COVID and attempting to have an online tournament and Nintendo bringing down the hammer.
Yep.
Now, we kind of discussed this beforehand.
We did.
But the question really comes down to, is Nintendo's marketing strategy and what they did with bringing down the hammer a good or a bad thing? Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision?
Now, here's kind of what we talked about beforehand. So for me, you know, I look at it. So Nintendo owns everything. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, when you buy a game, you don't technically own the game. You didn't create the game, but you own a license to play the game, right? But Nintendo's the one that created it. They created the engine. And you know, they're interesting because they don't use other engines like Unreal. They actually develop their own, right? So by buying a game, you're licensed to play that game in accordance with whatever the EULA or the end user license agreement states. Now, people don't realize this. Every game that you buy has an end user license agreement. It doesn't matter if it's Xbox, PlayStation, anything, right? And 9 times out of 10 in 2020, they just reference a website. But so they can kind of control that. Now, to kind of shed some light on that whole free Melee, what it was Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is a game that came out for the GameCube. There is a particular program that allows you to be able to play that online against other players. And so they set up this tournament. It was going to be remote. And Nintendo put the kibosh on it, saying absolutely freaking not. And I get it. So Nintendo, even though we as speedrunners and then the Smash tournament gets all upset when Nintendo does these things, Nintendo doesn't care about us, right? When I bought my Nintendo 64, Nintendo didn't make money. You know, it was whoever third-party seller made money. So they don't care about retro stuff. They don't care about their old stuff unless someone else is profiting off of it. They care about the 25-year-old mom who buys her son a Nintendo Switch and buys games with it. Because why? That's where they make their money. It's not on the retro stuff at all. You know, if I go out and buy a GameCube today, Nintendo doesn't see a dime. The only time they saw a dime was when whoever the first person was that bought that console.
Well, it's been resold and sold so many times.
Right. So, and Nintendo has made that perfectly clear over the years. They've said, hey, I mean, look at how they've targeted the ROM hack community for so long. You know, they don't want people profiting off of what they've created. And I can understand that. Now, I know that really upsets a lot of people, but Nintendo doesn't care. You know, they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They don't care what Twitter's saying about them. Why? Because again, you're not their target. Their target is kids.
Right.
You know? Because again, those parents are 9 times out of 10 going to make a very ill-informed purchase. They're just listening to whatever their 11-year-old kid is telling them. Hey, mom, I want this, I want this, I want this. Right. And for perfect example is my ex-wife bought an Xbox for my kids like a year or two ago, and you know, so she's asking me all these questions because the kids had said, oh yes, so we need the Xbox, we need to have at least 3 to 4 controllers, we need to have the Xbox branded external hard drive, we need to have this, and I'm like,
no you don't.
All of that. So that's where Nintendo's focus is. Nintendo doesn't care, and yeah, they've kind of let up on speedruns in particular, because they're like, okay, these are like no-name streamers. Because let's be real, even if you have 1,000 viewers, to Nintendo, you're a no-name,
right?
Because their reach is literally millions and billions, you know. So they're like, whatever. But look how long it took for Smash to get into Evo. Because of Nintendo. Just like if I created a box, right? I created this particular type of box that did something. And someone found a different application for my box. And now they're making a bunch of money off of my box. No, either pay me from my invention, or you're not going to use it. Does that make sense?
Well, no, and what I completely agree with you is the bottom line, because that's at the end of the day, that's what they're doing is they have to pay people, and someone deep in Nintendo. It wasn't Miyamoto necessarily. It wasn't Reggie. It wasn't Bowser. You know, they're kind of, you know, while Miyamoto he's the head of that kind of sort of thing, and he's developed games in the past. He's probably he's probably no longer really in the depths of actually developing these games per se. Sure, he probably has some sort of hand in it. I have no doubts, but at the end of the day, he's larger than life, really. Reggie and Bowser, they're both marketing individuals. They're not, you know, in the depths of it. There's someone in there who has worked their tail off, who has worked their tail off to develop these games.
Oh, yeah. As far and I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and you have to give them credit, and I fully understand that, and that's what what the attorneys are for. Is they're looking for it and they're trying to defend them, right?
Of course.
Just as you would defend a person who developed a new IP in their garage, and defend them, right? And be like, well, they're stealing my content, right?
Look at the DMCA stuff,
right?
You know. Someone wrote that song, and people are all upset about Twitch that's now, you know, knocking people down. That's not Twitch's fault. That's literally the law.
Right.
You know, like...
Yeah. So the flip side of that for me is you're not talking about... what's the right way to say this? You're not talking about the world as a whole and in the sense of consumerism, right? Sure, we're talking about consumable items that you're right have become so widespread, like the Wii, right? They didn't market that towards gamers at all. They marketed that towards the general audience, and they did a hell of a good job doing that. Because guess what? Guess who bought the Wii? Moms. Guess who bought the Wii? People with families. Guess who bought the Wii? People who didn't really enjoy video games, but they were like, "Oh, this looks interesting, and it looks just fun," right?
Right.
The problem that I have with the way that they're handling the Melee community is that you have an instance where you can basically make yourself look good, right?
Sure.
You have Sega, and Sega doesn't make consoles anymore for very, very obvious reasons.
Yes.
They failed a long time ago with that, and Nintendo kind of destroyed them when it comes to that, and they also kind of destroyed themselves. Look at the 3D Sonic games, not very good. But when it came to someone taking their IP and developing something, they didn't squash that. I mean, Nintendo, you had that, what was it? There was the Battle Royale version of Super Mario Bros. That was completely on it was on a web browser. You could run it on a web browser, and it was amazing. Right. I got to play it, fortunately, before it got destroyed by the DMCA by Nintendo. But what they should have done in that situation, and harkening back to the Mario Bros. Battle Royale, is they should have said, "Hey, that's a great idea. Let's take that and let's give him some money and develop that into something that's consumable, so that you can get it on the Switch or wherever for like $10, $15. That would have been the way to do it, which is what Sega did. They said, "Here, use our IP, develop something," and then that's how we got Sonic Mania. And there's more to it than just that, but I'm simplifying it a lot. But what Nintendo did is they didn't do that. They said, "Nope, gotta put the hammer down," and they brought the hammer down. And it's similar with Melee, in my opinion, because you very clearly have a very dedicated audience. And sure, they're using your IP and they're developing it in a way where you aren't quote unquote making money off of it, right? And and Nintendo has said it in the past. We don't want to insert ourselves into these tournaments because then we have to have certain rules and restrictions on it, and we don't want to destroy that community. And I totally get that. But you know what? I'm not very, very good legalese speaking, but I have a feeling there's a way that you can insert yourself as a company in support of this, allow this thing to go on, considering what is going on around the world, and shed light on it in a way where it's positive rather than this. Nope, we're just it's black and white. It's either you do it or you don't, and we're not letting you do it. There's no gray area.
And I'm gonna bring up another company that kind of took it one step further than what Nintendo does, or did, or is doing. So Sonic, they said, "Hey, we'll create Sonic Mania. Yeah, awesome. We'll collaborate, right?" So that's kind of like you're on the right hand of the spectrum. To me, Nintendo's in the middle saying, "Hey, no, this is not going to happen. You're not going to make money off of our stuff." Okay, sorry, kibosh. Now, you do have one more company that we haven't mentioned that's all the way on the opposite side, the left-hand side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard and Activision.
So, how did I know you were going to go there? How did I know?
If you remember, there was, I can't remember what it was called, but there was a classic WoW server that, tons of people played on. It was the old school WoW. Everybody was really happy with it. Blizzard said, abso-frickin-lutely not. And not only did they say absolutely not, they said, "Hey, guess what? We're going to steal your idea, and we're going to make it ours.
Right.
And we're not going to include you in it at all." So they created WoW Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there is kind of skeevy things that they could do. I mean, I don't think it's that Nintendo looks at it like, "Oh, yeah, we could make money." I think Nintendo looks at it as, "Oh, I don't want someone else making money off of my stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. But Nintendo is at least they've been consistent. They've always been that way. Always.
And that's the one thing I will say about Nintendo is they haven't, as much as I dislike the way that they handle things, right?
Right.
And as much as I dislike the way that the law is kind of written as far as that goes, at least they haven't, wavered on that, and they're kind of they are consistent on that, and they have been forefront in saying, hey, listen, we're not going to allow that. That's something that we can't allow to go in that direction. We'll let you have this, but you can't have this.
Well, and here's my question too: is knowing that Nintendo has always been that way, did the community organizers reach out to Nintendo and said, "Hey, we'd really like to do this. What are our options?" Or did they just do it and Nintendo said, "No, screw you"? That's what I'm interested in, because was it more of a it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission kind of thing, or did they legitimately reach out and say, "Hey, we would like to host this tournament because of the things going on in the world"? What do you think would be the best way to do this? Because we would really like to use your platform, but we want to do it the correct way. Do I think that was done? Probably not.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Nintendo may have said, no, you can't do it, but they may have been more apt to saying, hey, yeah, we don't really want you using this unauthorized software, but we may have this idea for you. I guess there's a lot of questions in this situation that I have.
Well, and it brings to light kind of how the community can interact with the company, right?
Right.
And there needs to be that communication. You're 100% correct. I think that my wish is only that, companies would be less company-like, because again, we're talking about video games. This isn't movies. This isn't music. This is video games, and you have a very dedicated audience of people. You've got a guy like Scott the Woz who's collecting every single video game known to man, and he's filled his office space or whatever with just all of these video games.
Bedroom, everything.
Right. And he isn't the only one doing that. He's just videotaping it and putting it on YouTube and talking about it that way. And he's become very well known for that. There are hundreds of other people who do this sort of thing because, again, and I bring it back all the time, is the gaming community is this microcosm of the entire world that holds on to this thing so dearly, and it's a sacred thing for us. So when you have the corporate aspect come into it, it feels tainted. So
of course,
my only desire, and Sega did a good job with it with Sonic Mania. Blizzard did an awful job with it because, again, the way they handled that. Nintendo, you're right, is right in the middle ground. I wish that Nintendo would fall a little bit more to the Sega side and kind of appreciate the community in that way. And you know what? You're right. Were there conversations happening in the background? I don't know, because that isn't broadcasted, and that too often that's the case. And I think that that's the point of this podcast is bringing those things to light and trying to have that conversation again. But from what we see, it's kind of like we're not really given a whole lot. And so I don't know. What's the answer? There might not be an answer at the end of the day, because again, there's the law is the law. You're right. Like the DMCA thing, there's nothing that you can change on that. You have to give ownership to the creator. And in this situation, the creator is a large corporate company, that being Nintendo. So how do you handle that? How do you bring that into the community? I don't know.
I'm genuinely interested too. So if you're listening to this, and no matter what side of the argument you're on, put a comment down below. We read the comments. We actually typically we'll try to go through and either talk to you about them or address it again, because this is a topic that's not going to go away. We know that it's not going to go away. It's going to happen again. So leave a comment down below on what you think in this situation, and really I invite everybody listening right now to listen, or to think about it objectively. Think about if you owned a particular platform that was being used elsewhere, because at the end of the day, we need to remember that these game companies are companies. They're businesses. They're here to take your money. They wouldn't exist if they gave things away for free, and there are a lot of companies that do. Arc, which just announced Arc 2 and all this stuff. Arc, Wildcard Gaming, You know, they started out giving away free licenses. Yeah, starting out, that's great. You got to get your name out there, but you can't continue.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's unsustainable for a business. How many employees does Nintendo have that they have to pay? You know, between the U.S. and Japan, it's, you know, so I get it. I understand the frustration, but I also, and I think it's because that whole contract law degree, that I look at it like that. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like you said, they're a company. So.
Right.
Well, you know, bottom line for me, I'm really happy to be back.
I am too. And the thing for me is, I was talking to my brother-in-law about this. I just love talking about video games. I love talking about this kind of stuff because I have a lot of. It's just, it fascinates me. The community fascinates me. Again, you're right. Like, I read all the comments. I'm always on Twitter seeing what new thoughts are out there, what people are saying, what are people talking about, and watching the new games and everything like that. You know, we got the Game Awards that just came out, and then we've got the new Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. We'll have to talk about that in the next podcast, but I think we're out of time here for now. But a couple of shout-outs here. Tharoah, you've got a stream on Twitch. Go make sure to check him out. I do as well. I'm not nearly as consistent, but please share this podcast. Show it to people. Spread it around. We're trying to do this a little bit more consistently. You know, we're just here to talk about video games. So if there's any particular topic that you want to talk about, leave it in the comments. Discuss what we discussed here in the comments as well. Find me on Twitter. Find Tharoah on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. I mean, we'll leave all the links in the description.
We're everywhere.
We're trying to get this going. So we'll be back again with, this is number 5. We'll be back with number 6, though. Any final thoughts there, Tharoah?
I'm just happy to be back.
Yeah. It's been such a terrible year, and just being able to like sit down talk about the thing that we really enjoy in this kind of way is just, it's nice. It feels good. But anyway,
it really does.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Again, share, please spread this around, and good gaming.
Absolutely.